Hello, everyone. Can you hear me okay? Okay, thank you for joining us today. My name is Shannon Walsh, and I'm the Historic Preservation Planner for the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission. We're going to talk about the Holyoke Historic and Cultural Tourism Plan. I'm also here with my colleague, Tiffany Menard, and other presenters today will be Aaron Vega, Director of the City of Holyoke's Office of Planning and Economic Development, and he's going to talk about the new Explore Holyoke website, as well as the new city's community calendar. We also have Eileen Crosby to share information about the Holyoke Library History Room, Ciudad de Historias City of Stories project, and Eileen is the librarian for historical collections of the City Library. Eileen will be joined by co-presenters Abner Alderando and Alex Santiago. Now I'm going to share the details of our project, which is still in the planning stages. I'm also going to talk about the 2020 Holyoke Tourism Strategic Plan, which led to this plan's development. I'm going to talk about some of Holyoke's historic and cultural aspects that this plan will focus on. I'm going to share the methodology of this plan and talk about the results of our recent digital survey. And finally, I will share some Holyoke highlights with you, which are just the tip of the iceberg for the amazing amount of historic and cultural resources of this city. The team for this project includes the City of Holyoke Office of Planning and Economic Development, our Stakeholders Advisory Group, historic and cultural representatives throughout Holyoke, including many who were involved in the recent tourism plan, Holyoke residents, visitors who come to Holyoke, and the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission. Prior to our involvement, the City of Holyoke developed a Holyoke Tourism Strategic Plan. This was funded by the Mass Gaming Commission as mitigation funds to offset the impacts of the development of the MGM Casino in Springfield. This plan was finalized in 2020. The tourism plan identified the city's most valuable tourism assets and services, consulted with related stakeholders, conducted 2 workshops, and identified key priorities to make long-term and lasting changes to Holyoke's tourism economy to use these assets to increase visitation. The key recommended priorities were to create a positive public perception of Holyoke, to design effective and coordinated strategic marketing, and to support signature destinations. This inventory identified the following assets and services: the Children's Museum of Holyoke, Connecticut River and related resources, Gateway City Arts, Heritage State Park, the Holyoke Canal System, the Holyoke Mall at Ingleside, Mount Tom State Park, Nueva Esperanza, the St. Patrick's Day Parade and Road Race, Victory Theater, the Volleyball Hall of Fame, and Wisteria Hearst. Key findings of this plan. Some of the key findings were that tourism is the Commonwealth's 3rd largest employer. Over 4 million tourists come to the Pioneer Valley each year, generating $662 million annually. The analysis concluded that Holyoke has untapped tourism potential and is losing visitors to other locations in the Pioneer Valley with similar experiences that Holyoke can offer, with an estimated loss of approximately $126 million per year. Historic and cultural tourism, also sometimes known as heritage tourism, wasn't a focus of the original tourism plan, so it has been added as a 2022 amendment, and that's what we're here to discuss today. So why is heritage tourism important? According to the Advisory Council on Historic Preservation, heritage tourism creates jobs and business opportunities. It helps protect resources and often improves the quality of life for local residents. The Holyoke Historic and Cultural Tourism Plan will identify the city's historic and cultural assets and related stakeholders, provide framework for planning to strengthen historic and cultural tourism, look at case studies for similar offerings, and develop an action plan for ways the city can utilize these resources as an asset for residents and visitors. There are many aspects of Holyoke's history and culture. Just to name a few, we have the canal system and industry, immigrant heritage, signature events, cultural venues, the International Volleyball Hall of Fame, built history, and natural spaces. So next, I'm going to briefly discuss the methodology for our project. The project timeframe is January of 2022 through August of 2022. It will build on existing plans to include the Tourism Strategic Plan, but also many other plans that have been developed for the city. Targeted outreach includes our core group meetings, the recent digital survey, targeted meetings with stakeholders, and our public meetings today. We will draft the plan and incorporate data from our research and outreach, and we will submit a draft to the Office of Planning and Economic Development before the plan is finalized at the end of the summer. So I'd like to next talk a little bit about the digital survey for this project, which was completed just a few weeks ago. The survey could be accessed in English and Spanish through web links or QR codes, which the city and the PVPC publicized. It ran from mid-March through early April. We had 795 total participants, but not every participant answered every question. Of the participants, 61.8% were residents, 36.8% were non-residents, and 1.4% were part of the planning stakeholders group. Here were some key findings from that survey. The top-ranked events were the St. Patrick's Day Parade and Road Race, Celebrate Holyoke, Gateway City Arts events, and Wisteria Hearst programs. We had write-ins as well for Mount Tom events, Blue Sox games, and Taste of South Holyoke. Some of the top desired features when looking for events: food options, affordability, nature and hiking trails, cultural and educational offerings, with write-ins to include safety and low crime, biking, and things that were family-friendly. Top activity themes: arts and culture, nature-based, historical, with write-ins to include cannabis dispensaries, breweries, and things which are representative of Holyoke culture. The people who responded thought that others should experience Mount Tom, canal system, Wisteria Hearst, Gateway City Arts, with write-ins to include reservoirs, local food, the fish elevator, the canoe club, and the dam. Some important historic and cultural assets: industrial and immigrant heritage, and canal history, with write-ins to include natural history and representation of all immigrant groups. Future wish list items: reactivate the theater and train station, designate Canalway and Puerto Rican cultural districts, public art and revolving exhibits, and write-ins to include nature, family-friendly activities, and revitalized neighborhoods. To answer the question, how can the city support residents and visitors to enjoy the abundant historic and cultural offerings, more than 60% of survey respondents favored an online community calendar showing city events and links to partners. Luckily, such a thing now exists with the new Explore Holyoke site, which Aaron Vega will talk about shortly. So before I sign off, and many of you probably already know this information, but I thought these facts were fun to share. Here are some of the details of the city's amazing wealth of history and cultural resources. For example, the antique carousel in Heritage Park was moved downtown from Mount Tom's Mountain Park in 1993 to the former site of the William Skinner Silk Mill, which was destroyed by a fire. The carousel features 48 horses carved by the Philadelphia Toboggan Company and can also be rented for private events. Two of these beautiful outdoor resources of Holyoke have quite a long history. The Whiting Street Reservoir was constructed in 1888, and the Ashley Reservoir became fully operational in 1897. The lovely Wisteria Hearst hosts a wide variety of programs to include cemetery tours and a recent paranormal investigation with the Spirit Sisters in October of 2021. Volleyball, originally called Mintonette, am I pronouncing that correctly? Yeah. Was invented in 1895 by William G. Morgan at the Holyoke YMCA. U.S. troops played this game beginning at camps in World War I, and in 1964 it was recognized as an official Olympic sport. The International Volleyball Hall of Fame opened in Holyoke in 1987. We have the Demented FX attraction on Main Street, located in a historic building. It's also been named the scariest haunted attraction in America, the #1 haunted attraction in Massachusetts, and #1 in New England for animatronics. And they draw a huge crowd every year. The city of Holyoke was one of the earliest planned industrial cities in the country. This collective industrial heritage is a source of local pride and includes a wealth of historic and cultural resources directly related to Holyoke's early growth and development. There are a variety of historical tours of Holyoke, free and open to the public, about this industrial history, and much more, including tours related to the 2022 theme of Olmsted Parks of Holyoke. We have Nueva Esperanza, Inc., which hosts unique local events which celebrate the city's Puerto Rican heritage, to include El Corazon de Holyoke and the Noche de San Juan Festival, which is this weekend. Also, we have Holyoke Rose at the Jones Ferry River Access Center, founded in 2000 by Stephanie Moore, with the goal of offering a rowing program that is open to everyone. Holyoke Rose also hosts the Paper City Regatta in September. And we have Holyoke's Victory Theater, designed by architects Mowell and Brown and opened in 1920. Guests could watch a silent show and onstage performance accompanied by the Victory Symphony Orchestra. As I wrap up, I wanted to thank you for being a part of this project. All feedback is valued. We appreciate your support as we work together to encourage residents and guests to explore Holyoke. Thank you very much. And next we're going to have Aaron Vega talk about the new website.
Thank you, Shannon. Such a great presentation. You covered a lot of the information. I just want to thank everyone for being here tonight, this afternoon, and if you're watching online, we welcome that as well. I want to give a shout out to my team in the OPED office. Jennifer, Ileana, and Marie have really been working together to do a lot on this tourism and marketing sort of realm, if you will. Also want to recognize, and here in the audience tonight in our live presentation, we have the chair of the Bike Pedestrian Committee, the chair of the Historic Commission, and the chair of the Local Cultural Council, all who have been partners in this. So it's really great to have those partnerships. And of course, Eileen, who will be presenting afterwards from the library and history room. A community calendar has been talked about for over a decade, if not probably 2 decades, for the city of Holyoke. And I think now we're just excited that the technology is there for us to create this website for us. Once again, I want to mention that all the stuff that we're talking about tonight has been made possible by a grant from the Mass Gaming Mitigation Fund, which helped put together the 2019 tourism plan, is supporting the work we're now doing on our historic and cultural tourism plan, as well as our Doors Open event last year and this website, among other things. So we're really excited to be having their support as well. We've made this website with the work of a locally based web design company, CD Vision. They're based here in Holyoke and really have developed this and done a lot of Holyoke projects, so we're really happy to be working with them. They're great partners. You can see through this website, and we invite people to exploreholyoke.com, explore the website. We really want this to be the tool that people use when they're making their plans for the weekend, looking at what's coming up. They can see events, hopefully that'll include things from the farmers market to art galleries to open mic nights and everything going on in and around the city. So we're still doing the work to get the word out, which is what this is partly about. So in this website, you can see that you can submit a listing, which would be for a business, but we're talking about submitting an event. And really what we're talking about is populating this calendar. And this community calendar, with a quick, synopsis, and again, open mic nights, one-time event, fundraisers. It was asked earlier about fundraisers, so things like that we're all familiar with in Holyoke, like the dueling pianos for the Children's Museum or the fancy steps. All those kind of events will be important to have on here. But again, you just scroll through it, and conveniently, there's this night's event right here, talking about the tourism and cultural plan for the city. But again, events at the Wisteria Hearse, our Valley Blue Sox are back this season. Events like DJ nights over at Gateway City Arts. These great, again, we've mentioned the tours, walking through the park tours, Stop by Science. So all this kind of stuff, even our citywide trash cleanup, the farmers market. For those of you interested in working out, we've got drag and deadlifts happening with CrossFit down in Winter Street. And then, of course, as was mentioned, El Noche de San Juan Festival, which is happening this weekend. And all kinds of great events. And so it's a very easy open source platform where people, any individual, any business can come in, submit a form. It's a very easy form. You start it right here, put in all your information, the description, the website, the location. You can put in an image, when it's happening. If it's something like the farmers market, where it's a recurring event, you can put it in there so it recurs. You don't have to put in a separate event for each weekend. Then that event gets submitted to us, to our office. We make sure everything's okay, and then we submit it. So, and we are not editing these events or censoring these events. We may fix some of the events. Marie has been doing some great work in adding pictures and making sure everything's done on the back end correctly so it populates correctly. But again, all events, we're not looking for political events. There's a few kind of things we don't want. We don't have political events. We don't want to have restaurants putting their daily menu on there, stuff like that. But again, it's event-driven. We really want this to be a source and a tool that people in Holyoke and people around Holyoke that are coming to this area will utilize to see what's going on. When you go through the Explore Holyoke page itself, we've broken into categories, and eventually this website will be in a collaboration with our other partner, the Holyoke Chamber, and eventually this site will be able to perhaps be able to have sponsorships and whatnot to kind of drive some more revenue to keep this site maintained. But right now it's very open and there's no sponsorship. But when you go to something like our food and drink, you can scroll through, and what we have is these sort of mini stories. And you can almost think of these like mini blogs in some ways, and we're actually going to be reaching out to the community to make these stories. They're very easy to put together. You could list your favorite places to go eat breakfast. You could talk about a day in Holyoke. You started off, I went for a walk around the reservoir, and then grabbed lunch at one of our great restaurants, and then saw a show at Pulp, and then maybe visited a dispensary before you went home, right? All kinds of things. You can make a whole day of it. So you see some of the breakfast spots in Holyoke, lunchtime in Holyoke, and then Gateway City Arts offers 5 different things under one roof. You'll see here, at this point, this featured section for the restaurants was based on our restaurant week, which just happened earlier this month. So all the participating restaurants were listed here. But you can go view all, which will be alphabetical. You're looking for lunch places. You can see, okay, where can I get lunch in Holyoke? And so again, all the nice places, everything from the mall to our privately owned downtown restaurants, keep being listed here. And we even love the chain restaurants. They're okay to be part of this, right? It's all one big industry. So again, this is really exciting. Again, you could see down the road where this being featured for a month could maybe be a sponsorship opportunity. We're doing a lot of work to populate this calendar and to populate the listings. And we're really sort of focused on getting this done by September, because in September we've got an arrangement with the Holyoke Mall, another partner of ours in our tourism stakeholders group, that you'll see throughout the 14 digital displays in the mall, an ad for Explore Holyoke. And so we're going to have some sponsorship, or preliminary sponsorship, if you will, ideas being run in September for the Holyoke Mall to be on this website. But again, we'll get that great publicity up at the mall as people come there and shop. And again, speaking of shopping, if you know someone who has a store in the city, is a retail shop, again, we can go into retail. And it's a very fast site. It's very good. Again, a guide to dispensaries. But again, you can talk about clothing. There seems to be a little bit of a cannabis theme happening right now with the website, but that's okay. Our favorite Highland Hardware bike, our Pearl Bridal Shop, Serene. So again, any category is here. The site, I would also say, is We're still, in development. This is sort of phase one. So again, if more categories need to be designed or whatnot, but we're really asking you, the community, to use this tool, right? We've created this tool to be out there for places like, HCC, places like the Children's Museum, places like the Wisteria Hearst and Gateway Arts, to list their events. Of course, they have them on their own websites, but again, we can drive traffic to this website and then drive it to their own websites as well. So we're really excited about this calendar. We're really excited about this website. So I encourage people to tell their friends to explore the website and explore Holyoke. The last thing I'll say, and really part of what the work that PVPC and Shannon and her team have been doing and what we've been working on, is a regional approach, right? I mean, of course, we're all concerned about what happens in Holyoke. We want to see Holyoke thrive. We want to see more people coming to Holyoke, supporting our restaurants. We want to see the Victory Theater open. We want to see all this stuff. But we're also part of a regional tourism plan. And when we think about the conversations that happen, one of the driving forces of why we did Restaurant Week was there's great restaurants in Holyoke, and we want people in Holyoke to know about it. But we want to be part of the conversation when people are saying, whether wherever they live in Western Mass, let's go out to eat. There's some great restaurants in Northampton and East Hampton and Holyoke. Right? We want to be part of that conversation. When people talk about going on hikes or going shopping, we want Holyoke to be part of that conversation. When we talk about art shows and concerts, we want Holyoke to be part of that conversation. And so having this strong website to show everything that's available is really critical. And our goal, really, when we talk about Western Mass tourism, is to really capture those people that are coming to this area for the weekend, whether it be Springfield for the casino or even out to the Berkshires, that really people start thinking about coming to Western Mass is an exploration of a multiple group of cities and different experiences. It's not just going to Boston where you can be in your hotel and maybe walk to 50 different things from your hotel, which is wonderful and great. That's obviously not what it is out here in Western Mass. Out here in Western Mass, it's exploring the identity of a bunch of different cities and small towns and getting a flavor of what each place presents. And we're hoping that this Explore Holyoke really puts forth the flavor of Holyoke and all the great things happening. So we're excited. The last thing I'll say before I pass it off is that obviously this video will be available online. Thank you to everyone that participated in the survey, but now that second part of the survey is to answer this questionnaire, because your input, your comments, your ideas are going to be what goes into this plan and informs my office and the city of Holyoke on the next steps we need to be taking. So your voice is important. This is really an opportunity to have your voice heard. And speaking of having your voice heard and exploring Holyoke, this next presentation by Eileen and her team is amazing, and we're really excited about the potential and what this sort of virtual and on-the-ground personalized tours of Holyoke can really accomplish, capitalizing on both our historic aspects of the city, our history, but also the architecture and the sort of presence of being in downtown and exploring the history here. So come on up from the Holyoke History Room. Our next presenters, come on up.
Thank you, Aaron. Thank you, Shannon. Sorry for the little delay there. There, can you hear me better now? So as Aaron said, I'm Eileen Crosby. I'm the Archivist and Librarian for Historical Collections at the Holyoke Public Library. And I'm going to introduce you to friends working on the project with me after I introduce the project. Around the same time, I think, that Aaron had started working on the historic tourism plan at the Office of Planning and Economic Development, the Holyoke History Room was working independently on an idea for some online walking tours. And the pandemic really stimulated that, because a lot of cultural heritage institutions were wondering, what can we do in this situation? What can we do that's outdoors? What can we do that's virtual? So online tours were virtual tours were a natural step. And a statewide grant opportunity came up, if you can, to apply for a Mass Humanities grant called Expand Massachusetts Stories. And you probably can't read that, so I'm going to read my slide. So the grant was aimed at supporting projects that collect, interpret, or share narratives about the Commonwealth with an emphasis on voices and experiences that have gone unrecognized or have been excluded from public conversation. So essentially they were inviting proposals that for the creation of more inclusive histories of communities. And we proposed a set of online walking tours for Holyoke that would be available as a website or as an app you can download to your phone. They would be bilingual, they would be multimedia, And they would mix in some of the historic, the kind of traditional stuff of a historic walking tour, so industrial history in Holyoke, historic buildings, with stories of everyday life and stories of the more recent past as well. So the origins of the title of it, City of Stories, came from the idea of, if these walls could talk, right? And probably even here in this new building, if these walls could talk, they would probably have some stories to tell. But our variation on that was, if these buildings could talk, if these streets could talk, what would they tell us? So some stops will try to go all the way into the distant past, stories of specific buildings, like the Holyoke Water Power Building on 1 Canal Street. That can be used as a stop that will tell the whole story or part of the story of water power in Holyoke. So down again in that same area, the Hadley Falls Company worker housing can talk about early industrialization and the conditions of work. And some of the churches, we're not just including buildings that are there, but some that are gone as well. So the churches and the flats that have been demolished. But there are also much more recent stories, so stories of the Puerto Rican and Latinx diasporas in Holyoke that describe those same streets, those same buildings, but from a different perspective and from a more recent time. And those stories, so we'll use materials at the history room to tell a lot of the early history, but we're going to use the stories of living people to tell the more recent history. We had a great public workshop, if you want to advance, in May at the library, that on community history, on story sharing, and on how important it is to include many voices and many perspectives in the telling of history. And quite a few people have gotten involved as a result of that workshop. The grant sponsored both the workshop and allowed us to bring in bilingual staff for the project. So Abner Alderondo is with us for the summer, and Alex Santiago. They're both from Holyoke. And they're really essential staff because they're bilingual. They're working in research, translation, outreach for the project. And they both have really interesting stories of their own, which I'm sure they can share in a break. But right now, I'm going to turn things over to Alex, who's going to bring us up to date on where the project is now. And Abner, who's going to introduce you to the platform, which is not ready for the public yet, but we can give you a preview of what it looks like.
Thank you, Eileen. Yes. So right now, the project, we are at the stages of creating and translating the historical material that will be featured on these tours. And we are also reaching out to the people who have expressed that they want to contribute to or participate in this project in any way. And there are a number of ways in which people can participate or contribute to the project. First one is sharing oral histories. Some people have come up to us and told us they want to share a full oral history. Other people want to share short anecdotes or personal stories. And other people are more comfortable sharing just photographs if they don't want to be on camera or do a full interview. And so right now, the tours that we are focused on are centered on the early industrial areas of Holyoke. So that means the Flats, South Holyoke, and working up to downtown and Churchill areas. So that will include places like Broderick House and Nueva Esperanza, and some of the churches that Eileen mentioned earlier in the presentation. The tours will be online, as we've said, and they will evolve. So with this being said, we are not trying to be comprehensive. We're not trying to give a full history of Holyoke, but more like an introduction. We're trying to make it more inclusive, digestive, and walkable for the people who want to do the tours in person. And we really know that these tours will motivate people, will invite people to explore more about Holyoke histories at places like the History Room and the Wistaria Hearst Museum. So right now, I'm going to hand things over to Abner, who's going to show you how the app and the website will work and how it looks.
Thanks for that project update, Alex. I'm just going to try to do a live demo for you all. Okay, lovely. So this is the website version of the walking tour. And right when you open it for the very first time, you are going to see this. They can select your language. You can pick either English or you can pick Spanish. For now, I'm going to pick English. Right there. And as you can see, when you open this page, you'll be directed right to the homepage of the tours. And this is also translated into Spanish as well. So I'm going to do a little live demo of one of our tours of the flats right here. And each of these tours starts with an introductory page, as you can see right here. As you can see right here, it just introduces the tour a little bit, some information about it. So once you click here on the C and blue button right here, Start Tour, you can see that it immediately pops up the tour. But keep in mind that this is currently a work in progress, so there are some things are just placeholders and things of that nature. So please keep that in mind. But if we click on these three kind of lines, we can see a list of the stops we have here. So some stops we have right here are the Flatiron Building, the Connecticut River Railroad Station, the Holyoke Street Railway Car Barn, and the Church of the Holy Rosary and Immaculate Conception. And if you click on this icon right here on the bottom left corner, that kind of looks like a fold-out map. You can see a map of Holyoke and where all these stops are. So there's just a bunch of pins where all the stops are at. So you can get kind of like a visual view of it. And if you click on this arrow right here, you'll get a pop-up of all the tours right here. So you can see right here, this is the Flatiron Building, and it'll generally be this kind of setup where it'll be a gallery and some text. And I just clicked on the image, and it should be popping up. Yes. So if you click on the image, you can see from that thumbnail to it being blown up, essentially. And I want to demonstrate one that is more fully fleshed out. So please bear with me. The Holyoke Street Railway. So you can see right here, there's a little gallery here. So we have some images up here. There's two. And if you click on them, you can even see that there is a caption on the bottom left of what you're seeing in the image. And most of our images right here will have kind of an eye that'll say where you can find it in either in the library or you can find it in a newspaper source. And right here in the body of the stop, you can see that there's the capsule history right there, which we will have for each of these stops translated into Spanish. And if you scroll all the way down, you can see where this stop is in Holyoke. So, and if you click on that, it will just show you like the map with just that point on it. So I'll just close out of that. And one thing I want to emphasize with these stops is that we can also add audio, we can also add video, and we plan on adding that especially for some of the other stops that have like histories of the Puerto Rican diaspora there, so that they can tell their own stories through that way. And I want to show an example of how the website looks bilingual. So we're going to go right here into settings and go into Spanish. So we go right back into the home page, go into this stop, and you'll see that this is in Spanish. So all the text that we'll have will be in Spanish. There's just some placeholders in English right now, but that's just temporary. That will be in Spanish soon. Yeah, so this is just a placeholder, but all the captions will also be translated into Spanish as well. Yeah, and those are mainly all the features that we have for our walking tour. Going back to our presentation. So that concludes our presentation. And you can see right here on this slide, there we are. So that's where you can contact us on the top right corner, Ciudad Historias at holyoke.library.org. You can also leave a call. If someone picks up and there's not bilingual staff, please keep in mind that they can return your call, or you can also just send us an email. That's also completely fine. And if you want to see more information about the program, about the project, but in text form, you can just visit our website. Thank you so much.
We're really excited about this. This is great, and thank you to our presenters. We will be taking input from the public for the next couple of weeks. And so, again, we're hoping to have a final report. I would think it was in August. And again, this is an opportunity for the public to participate in the Holyoke History and Cultural Tourism Plan that will inform our office for the next couple of years of the work we need to be doing. So again, hopefully you will participate, and we open up now if there's any questions, but of course we're available afterwards as well, and we'll make sure that the survey is throughout the city, but also available on, not the survey, but the questionnaire is available online through our office and through Holyoke Media as well. So I want to thank our partners at Holyoke Media, another great partner that we have. So Johan, thank you. And that's it. So if there's questions now, we can take them or have some informal discussion. Or we can go home and go enjoy one of Holyoke's great restaurants and get something to drink and eat. Exactly.